So you got yourself a killer audio interface. You got your computer friend to set up your DAW on your computer. And you want to record your very first demo for your very first song. Where to begin? The very first step in recording your very first demo is actually to nail the tempo of your song. You either start with the hook of the song or with the chorus of the song, and the tempo has to be perfect. That means you have to practice it over and over again, maybe over several days, so you don't waste your time recording anything at the wrong tempo. Because throwing out tracks that you took time to record, well, that sucks. But here's the important thing. Don't try to get your tempo with a click track. Your listeners will never hear the click track. And you're not going to sing to the click track either. What you need is an easy-to-use drum plugin. And it just so happens that I have the perfect one for you. If you're doing pop, folk, country, or rock. This plugin is from a company called MTPowerDrumkit, and it's called the MTpowerDrumkit2. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to sing the hook with many voices in homage to the 1980s, or whether I'm going to play it on slide guitar, or whether I'm going to play it on a synthesizer. But as long as the tempo is right and the drums are kicking in that track, then I know I'll be in the right place. So here is how we start our very first demo. We get into the DAW of our choice. Now I'm going to use Reaper because I think it's the best for pop, country, rock, and folk. If I did hip-hop, I might use something different, but I don't do hip-hop. Now, in Reaper, I'm going to open up a few tracks. I hit Control and then T a couple of times, and I've just opened up a few tracks. And the very first track I'm going to open up, I click the FX button, and in this little filter, I type in MT. And you see the MT Power Drum Kit from MTPowerDrumkit comes up. Double click. Now, I need to call your attention to a couple of things. I'm using the default setup of Reaper. I never use any kind of theme. I only use what Reaper gives me by default because they do a lot of updates, and I don't want to have to put in a new theme every time they update. But if you look at the very bottom over here, where my mouse pointer is, and it says BPM, it's set at 120 beats per minute by default. Most likely, that's gonna change. The first thing I do is I click on where it says Grooves. Now, this is why I love the MT Power Drum Kit, because it just makes it so easy to do this. Now, I know my song is in 4/4 time, and before I start, now here's the word. This is the audio engineering word. Before I start auditioning the different grooves. I'm going to sing the hook for you. So the hook for this song goes like this. Na 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 na. Okay, so I don't even want to get the intro first. I just want to get a groove. And I think I'm going to start the hook with an open hi-hat groove, because I like that sound for the hook. I don't want closed, because the hook has to hit you. And it might not even be bad to have a full open. I would go with either one of these. Maybe we'll do a full open, but it doesn't matter. So all I'm going to do is click on groove number 1, because it's the simplest. Now, what Daniel Manda did when he designed this, I think, is he made it so the grooves get more complicated as you go to a higher number. So I'm going to start with the simplest, and I'm going to audition it. So listen. Now, I know that's too slow, and I don't even have to sing with it to know that. So I'm going to click on this BPM, and I'm going to change it to 130. And now I'm going to audition it again, and I think we'll be closer. And I'm going to sing with it now. Na 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 na. So I think I might have something with 130 beats per minute. It might be a little too fast. I'm not sure. It might be a little too fast. So I think I might try that again. But this is the whole trial and error thing that you deal with. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to change it from 130 to 125 beats per minute. And let's audition this simple beat. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. I feel like this is it, but I might not feel like this is it tomorrow, if you know what I'm putting out here. So I'm going to put some scratch vocals on it, just to sort of get a sense of where we are. But this is a great beat to start with. Now let me just show you. You can get more complicated. Let me go into the second groove, which is more complicated, just to show you. Na 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 na. So I feel like if I used that groove, I'd have to speed it up a little bit. Let me go back to the first groove just to really see where that lies. I feel like I like the first groove more for this basic hook. Na 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 na. That might be good. I'm gonna try it instead of 125. Let me change it to 127 beats per minute. And let's hear how that sounds. This is the process you're going to have to go through, though. You have to audition all these different tempos. You have to. Because once you start recording, you better know that that foundation, which the tempo is right. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. So let's try it again at 127 beats per minute. Na 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 na. That feels too fast. It feels too fast. I'm going to go to 126. You might think, a 1 beat per minute different? Yeah, it matters. It really does. I sometimes use decimals when I get tempo. It matters. 126. All right, let's roll. Na 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 na. I feel like it's too fast. I feel like 125 is better. Let me try it again. Na 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 na. All right, so I'm set with 125 for today. Now, I might change my mind tomorrow, so I'm not going to do a tremendous amount of work today. Now, I just want to show you I'm going to use groove 1 for my hook, but I just want to show you some of the other grooves so you know what MT Drummer has to offer. I'm randomly picking groove 15. I'm not going to use it, but I want you to hear it. I'm going to double click it to save myself a little time. It works just as well. Double click. And that's with something called a snare ghost. You'd never use this in the beginning of a song, like with a hook. I mean, why would you do that? Here's a double snare, just so you can hear the different choices that Daniel Manda managed to put into this amazing plugin. So I wouldn't use that for almost anything, but I tend to love the first 7. Let me show you number 7. Let me show you number 5. Let me show you a fill. See over here where it says fills? I love the way his mind designed this. It just seems like he said, how can I make this as easy to use as possible? I feel like that was Manda's overarching theme was, how can I make this as easy for the user to create? Here's a fill. Let me give you another fill. Let me give you a fill that is a build-up type of a fill. This is fill 23. All right, so I've given you a little bit of sort of what the MT Power Drum Kit can do, but then how do we put it into Reaper? Well, I've decided to use the first one for the hook. So all I'm going to do is click on it once, I don't release it, and I drag and drop it right into Reaper. But I'm going to want a little intro also. So let's audition intro 3. That intro works perfectly for me. I'm going to click on it once. I'm going to drag and drop it in. And now, let's hear what we have to get started. So that's what we have to get started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the beat over here, and I'm going to hit Control and then C, and I've just copied it. Then over here, I'm going to click, and I'm going to move. Now, this thing in Reaper, it's actually called the tape head. It might be called the record head or the playback head, but the word head is used, really. And the reason why the word head is used is because in the old days of tape, the contraption that read the magnetic tape that people used, like, in the 1980s. It was called the tape head. So this is sometimes called the record head or the playback head. So I click over here, and then I hit Control V, and I've just pasted it in. And I'm going to do a couple more. Control V, Control V. And now I have a lot to begin, but I want to give myself just a little bit more. So I never said I don't like click tracks. Click tracks are very important. I'm going to give myself a little click track intro that gives me time to do stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this second track, and then I'm going to click on Insert, and then click Source. And I'm going to take this click track, I'm going to move it here. And you know what? I think I want 2 full measures of click. So what I'm going to do is on the top track, I'm going to click on this, then I'm going to hit the Shift key, and then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to move this so that, well, you'll hear it. This is what it sounds like. Now, the intro isn't long enough because I do my own engineering. So it means I have to arm my track and run over to where my guitar is or where my keyboard is. And so, I like having a long intro, and I could make it as long as possible. But this is good enough for me now. So I always color code anything to do with rhythm. I color code it tan. Now, I have this thing called a hotkey on Reaper that is a whole other lesson, and that's why I was able to do it so quickly. But if you were to right-click on this, you can click on Track Color, and you click on Set Tracks to a custom color. And I got that with a hotkey, but you could just right-click and get it just as easily. Anything to do with drums, whether it's a click track or even a reverb from a drum, I color it this color. This tells me drums. So I have my drums already done. But the next thing I have to do is, you might think I'm going to record the vocals, but now I need to find the key. And to find the key, I need a scratch. Now, I'm a guitar player, so I'm going to use the guitar, but if you're a keyboard player, you use the guitar. Now, I always make my guitars green because the word guitar starts with the letter G, and the color green starts with the letter G. So this isn't going to be a real guitar. This is going to be what's called a scratch guitar. So I write SCRGUIT, scratch guitar. Scratch. It means it's going to be there temporarily, and then you're going to throw it in the garbage. It's just to get the key, and that's it. So the next thing to do that we are going to do together is we are going to record a guitar. Most likely a scratch guitar, but possibly a permanent guitar. Sometimes it does turn into the permanent guitar. But what you often find is that when you put the guitar down, you may change the tempo. So the thing with the tempo and setting the drum right and having a very easy to use drum plugin makes this foundational element of recording an actual song easy to accomplish. But it's crucial. If you don't have the right tempo, the wasted work that you might have to throw in the garbage is just absolutely disheartening. So, your next lesson, I'm going to show you how to record guitar, which is a little bit tricky. There are definitely tricky elements, and it's a whole different thing. If you were using this as a guide to recording your first demo, what I would love you to do is just get to this point where you have a basic drum beat put in and you're pretty sure you have the right tempo, but you're not going to do too much. You're going to wait a whole day unless you're really inspired. And if you're like really inspired, then go with it. You know what I mean? But it's sometimes a very good idea to wait a day or two to make sure the tempo is right. Now, what would be super inspiring for me would be if you shot me a comment, maybe with some questions that you might be having, and I can respond, you know? And this way there'll be some like real interaction through this whole YouTube thing. But with that, this is Guthrie Jenkins wishing you all a fantastic, joyous experience in your recording.